A Step into the Past Volume 16 Chapter 2 Book 16 Chapter 02, To Meet Again in a Strange Land. Xiang Xiaolong stepped out from behind the screen with dragon-like movements and tiger-like steps, not the least bit afraid. He knelt and kowtowed at a distance, saying in a deep voice, "The stateless official Wan Ruguang is guilty and deserves 10,000 deaths. May the Empress Dowager convict him." Li Yunyan coldly looked at him and blandly said, "Raise your head." Xiang Xiaolong was secretly pleased and raised his head while gazing deeply into her eyes, displaying a liberal demeanor, as if completely unafraid of death. Li Yunyan's delicate pupils emitted a keen light and solemnly said, "Now I will question and you will answer. If there is any hesitation, I will order my men to drag you outside and behead you. Do not take advantage of the fact that I am a woman. I have learned equestrian archery and sword fighting since young. There are very few people who can even think about approaching me." Xiang Xiaolong mused, "No wonder you are so daring." He let out a sigh and said, "Empress Dowager might as well behead me. If it is anything concerning the imperial uncle, how could I speak without his permission?" Li Yunyan was displeased and said, "Who is in charge here in my great Chu?" Xiang Xiaolong knew he couldn't push her too far, and sadly said, "I, Wan Ruguang, am but a stateless official. I never hoped to survive this trip to Shaochun. I would have been content to put in some effort for my country before dying." Li Yunyan furiously said, "Do you want to die? I want to keep you alive in vain hope of death, accuse your associates of conspiring against me and bring disaster to your family and clan." Xiang Xiaolong laughed out loud and said, "It turns out that in the end you only wish to destroy our Zhuang family. All right. I, Wan Ruguang, will just have to accept fate." He didn't really want to argue with her, just that the situation before him was complicated, and Li Yuan and Li Yunyan's relationship was even more unfathomable. If he surrendered obediently and betrayed Li Yuan, she would surely despise him. It would be more worthwhile to try to test the depth of her compassion for the Zhuang family. Li Yunyan stared at him fiercely, her complexion flitting from bright to gloomy, obviously unable to decide what to make of this heroic, spirited, and death-defying yet talented and valiant man. Xiang Xiaolong pressed his advantage and kowtowed by knocking his head heavily 3 times on the floor, saying, "This is to thank Empress Dowager's compassion and desire to protect our Zhuang family just now. If Empress Dowager has changed her mind, the small official will still be very grateful. I just hope that my death will appease the Empress Dowager's anger, and hope that the Empress Dowager will be magnanimous and spare Zhuang Jiao's few remaining descendants." As his words ended, he quickly and nimbly retreated 2 steps and knelt down again. He then drew his sword and played as if he was going to commit suicide. Li Yunyan said, "Wait." Of course Xiang Xiaolong would not force his own hand. If Li Yunyan had not shouted for him to stop, he would have had no choice but to break through the window on the back door and escape as quickly as he could to the Zhuang mansion, and then figure out how to escape. Chu. As he was thinking about the close shave, he put his sword horizontally across his neck like it was done in the movies and laughed bitterly, saying, "What instruction does Empress Dowager have?" Li Yunyan heaved a sigh and said, "Sheath your sword first, and then come sit in front of me." Xiang Xiaolong silently sheathed his sword and moved to a point 10 steps from her and sat down comfortably. His manner was neither overbearing nor servile. In this era, heroes are esteemed. It was not certain whether Xiang Xiaolong was truly heroic, but he came from the 21st century where everyone was equal. Even though he observed the customs of the present era and stood on ceremony when needed, he involuntarily displayed a fearing no one, neither heaven nor earth attitude. This caused others to feel that he is distinctively high-spirited. Li Yunyan scrutinized him for a good while before sighing and saying, "Has elder brother ever asked you to assassinate Lord Chun Shen?" This time it was Xiang Xiaolong's turn to be startled. Li Yunyan was unexpectedly sharp, arriving at this conclusion from the fact that Li Yuan had hidden him behind the screen to eavesdrop and then deliberately slandered Lord Chun Shen. Pretending to mutter irresolutely, he said, "Imperial uncle might have had this intention, but he has yet to mention it to the small official. Li Yunyan's voice turned cold and she said, once you have murdered Lord Chun Shen, do you think any member of your Zhuang family will be left alive? Xiang Xiaolong could not really fathom whether she was standing on Li Yuan's side or Lord Chunshen's side and said, of course I will become the scapegoat. Li Yunyan gazed blankly for a while before saying in puzzlement, scapegoat. What an odd expression. Having said it though, it does seem like an apt description. Lambs can only be led to the slaughter. Just a note that the Chinese word for scapegoat is actually a with tilde a with circumflex a pound a with tilde a with circumflex a 1/2 a with tilde a with circumflex a 3/4 a with tilde a with circumflex a 3/4 a literally meaning assuming guilt lamb. If I'm not wrong, lambs and goats have the same name a with tilde a with circumflex a 3/4 a in Chinese. By this time, Xiang Xiaolong is very familiar with the attitudes of people in the royal courts. Li Yunyan is just like another Zhu Ji, unbearably lonely. That is why once she ran into him, she is handily using him to while her time away. With sudden inspiration, he said, this could also be described as a black dog's food is a white dog's calamity. Isn't this even more apt? Li Yunyan failed to comprehend initially, but thinking it through, she laughed with a pu-chi sound. She knew that she had lost her bearing again and restrained herself, though her tone was now warmer, and she said blandly, you really aren't the brave and straightforward person that you appear to be, only knowing how to use the sword. Ai. Please go. In the end, this has nothing to do with you. I was just angry that you actually had the guts to sneak a peek at me. Xiang Xiaolong did not dare to show his gleeful expression, and after kowtowing to express his thanks, stood up and said, would Empress Dowager please show me an open and honorable egress route? Li Yunyan said, after I leave, you may leave by the side door to the courtyard and then leave by the back rooms. If you do not wish for your head to roll on the ground, it's best not to reveal our conversation to the imperial uncle. Otherwise I will not spare you. Xiang Xiaolong took her words as wind past his ears, aka in one ear and other the other, and casually muttered a response before attempting to retreat to the courtyard. Li Yunyan said in displeasure, stand still. Did you hear what I said? Xiang Xiaolong calmly said, the small official did not reply because he does not take his head as a matter of concern and hence did not really take the words seriously. However, if I had revealed this to Empress Dowager, she would have been unhappy. Even if I am torn apart by 5 horses, I will still abide by the ruling. Li Yunyan's apricot eyes glared with fury initially, but gradually softened again as she heard the last few words. She sighed and said, you are not a wicked and evil person, but are candid and honest. For Diane to have produced a talent like yourself, there is yet hope for your restoration. Go. I don't wish to see you again. Xiang Xiaolong was startled and said, didn't Empress Dowager ask Imperial Uncle to order us into the palace just now? Li Yunyan was irritated and said, even then do you think you can meet me so easily? Quickly get lost. Xiang Xiaolong forced a smile and said, if the Empress Dowager really wants me to get lost, I would rather be killed by you. Has Empress Dowager ever heard of the expression only to be killed, never to be insulted? Li Yunyan pretended that she did not hear it, but felt herself being attracted to this person's clever language. He was enchanting and fascinating, a kind of man she had never before seen in her life. Nonetheless, since it was not appropriate for her to continue being in contact with him, she turned around and walked out the main door with a look of exasperation. Xiang Xiaolong took the opportunity to retreat to the courtyard and quickly walked to the rear room. Li Yunyan's beautiful visage has been crammed into his heart. As he pushed open the door to go out, the shadow of a figure floated in with the fragrant wind and bumped into him. Despite his perturbed mind, he realized that it was a woman. Not daring to let the other party enter his embrace, he stretched out his hands to restrain the other party's shoulders. The lady cried out in alarm, raised her own hands and pressed against the pit of his stomach, thus borrowing a little momentum to retreat a few steps. The sound of an abusive female voice came out of the rear room. Xiang Xiaolong took a look at the face of the lady that almost crashed into his chest and got a fright. If she wasn't the Guo Xiuer who married Li Yuan, who could it be? As the servant girls behind Gui Xiuri started to swarm round, she cut them off with one hand and said in a loud but delicate voice, "Do not be rude. This is General Wan Ruguang, a friend of Imperial Uncle." After giving him a firm and meaningful look, Guo Xiuer greeted and said, "Mister, please forgive your servant for walking around without her eyes." Xiang Xiaolong vaguely felt that Guo Xiuer had recognized who he was, but could not tell where he had exposed himself. He felt a big headache coming, but was also secretly happy. Returning the courtesy, he said, "It should be I who should be asking Madam Imperial Uncle for forgiveness." Guo Xiuer shouted to the 4 servant girls behind her, "Why aren't you quickly going ahead to see if Empress Dowager has left?" The 4 servant girls have rarely seen this warm, graceful, and elegant madam use such an urgent and strict tone, so while whispering amongst themselves about who this person was, they hurriedly rushed to obey their orders. Guo Xiuer gently said, "Is General leaving? Let your servant send the General some ways." She led the way, and reaching the back door, she said to the 2 sentries, "Go and help General find a horse carriage." One of the sentries obeyed the command and left. Guo Xiuer then found another excuse to send the other sentry away. When only the 2 of them were left, she softly said, "Xiang Xiaolong, I've been thinking about you bitterly. Why have you come here? Is it to deal with Xiuer's husband?" Only now does Xiang Xiaolong know for sure that she has seen through his disguise. He sighed, saying, "How did you know I was Xiang Xiaolong?" Guo Xiuer said softly, "When my hands pressed against your stomach just now, I felt that phoenix-shaped jade pendant on you. I have been playing with it and handling it since I was young. Of course I can recognize it. Xiuer is very happy, you have really been wearing it continuously." Only now does Xiang Xiaolong understand. Guo Xiuer serenely said, "Can Xiaolong let Xiuer's husband go?" Xiang Xiaolong's heart was extremely moved. If Guo Xiuer had wanted him dead, all she had to do was shout with her delicate voice, he would then be decimated. However, even though she had guessed that he was here to kill Li Yuan, she was not willing to do so, merely pleading for his mercy. It was clear that she was someone who would not sell herself out once she had made up her mind. He couldn't help but ask, "Does he love you?" Guo Xiuer nodded affirmatively, but sighed and said, "What use is that? He has too many women." Of course Xiang Xiaolong knew Li Yuan was promiscuous and liked to reward himself with women. He said seriously, "Xiuer, please do not worry, my trip here is definitely not because of him." Only after the horse carriage had gone far away did Guo Xiuer emerge from her dejected spirit and return to the courtyard. As the horse carriage sped out of the palace gates, 2 mounted men flew over. Xiang Xiaolong recognized one of them as the refined and delicate Dong Luzi. This person once created a stir in the Handan martial arts tournament. Together with the other swordsman Lu Wuxin, they were the 2 most famous experts under Li Yuan. Dong Luzi reined his horse deferentially and to convey his regards, saying, "Imperial Uncle is waiting for Master Wan at the Red Embrace Mansion. Allow your servant to lead the way. The other person has already been ordered to defend the changed route." Xiang Xiaolong laughed and said, "No need to lead. Isn't the carriage going there anyway? What is this hero's honorable name?" Dong Luzi was a little embarrassed. They were accustomed to such people running amok in Shaochun. "Another disconnect here, sorry." Dong Luzi gave a dry cough and reported his name. At this moment, the sound of hooves arose. A group of 20 over-horsemen were on a collision course with them. The leader was approximately 20 years old and was wearing a nobleman's battle dress. His facial features were coarse but heroic. With one look, one could be sure that this man was braver than most other men. Both his eyes fixed their attention on Dong Luzi, emitting a pair of cold beams, showing an excited expression. As Dong Luzi saw this youth, he gave a cold snort and said to Xiang Xiaolong in a low voice, Master Wan. This is Lord Chunchan's seventh son Huang Zhan. He is fond of bravery and fighting. In Shaochun, he is either number 1 or number 2 in equestrian archery and sword fighting. Imperial uncle has given us strict orders forbidding us to offend him. If he is disrespectful in speech, could Master Wan please bear with it? As Xiang Xiaolong mused that it is actually one of Shaochun's tyrannical aristocrats, Huang Zhan has cut off the route in front. His people spread out to the left and right, cutting off the traffic on the entire road. Dong Luzi saluted and said, Dong Luzi pays his respects to Master Huang. Huang Zhan gave a snort and played deaf. He urged his horse on and arrived at Dong Luzi's side, giving Xiang Xiaolong an arrogant glance. Dong Luzi hurriedly said, This is Dian's General Wan Ruguang who has just arrived in Shaochun. Huang Zhan's spirit rose and he gently laughed, saying, So it is actually the Wan Ruguang who swept Li Chuangwen out the door. Why don't we relocate somewhere and let Huang Zhan experience his brilliance so as to prevent outsiders from accusing my Shaochun of having no capable people? Xiang Xiaolong ridiculed in his heart, this is actually someone who merely likes to flaunt his military might, brave but guileless. No wonder Li Yuan is able to gain power. Dong Luzi said in a deep voice, Master Huang. Huang Zhan interrupted him in merciless disregard, saying, Dog slave. Since when is it your turn to speak? Dong Luzi lowered his head in silence, but it was clear he was furious in his heart. Huang Zhan stared at Xiang Xiaolong disdainfully and sneered, saying, Is General Wan afraid? Xiang Xiaolong smiled faintly and said, Master Huang is overly praising my humble self. This humble self is even less likely to be so arrogant as to think that Shaochun is without capable people. But the sword under my hand is only used on the battlefield to defeat the enemy or perhaps to defend my state's fields and land. Master should understand this truth. The color on Huang Zhan's face changed and he said, Are you deriding that I do not know how to kill enemies on the battlefield? At this time Xiang Xiaolong is even more certain that this is just a person who merely fond of bravery and fighting. He calmly said, If Master Huang is interested, he can set a date for a public competition to compare notes. Nonetheless, this matter needs the prior approval of your honorable father. Master, please. This speech was both hard and soft, a clear statement of I am not afraid of you. Huang Zhan has never met anyone so formidable. After being in shock for a while, he shouted loudly, That's settled then. The one surnamed Wan had better not cower back at that time. Xiang Xiaolong faced the sky and had a good laugh, saying, Master does not have to worry. Having the chance to compete with experts is something that I, Wan Ruguang, desire earnestly but am rarely able to fulfill. Hearing the heroic air and confidence in his laughter, Huang Zhan was startled. Turning to Dong Luzi he said, Fragrant Splendor Pavilion's little jeweler belongs to me Huang Zhan. Dong Luzi, you had better not go there in the future. Once he had finished speaking, he let out a deafening whistle and spurred his horse, leading his people away. The street is now lined with carriages and chariots. Dong Luzi gazed at Huang Zhan's back with a hateful and poisonous look. Only after leading them to another street did he take a deep breath and say, I really hope that General Wan can slaughter this chap with one stroke of the sword. Of all the cities he has been since he arrived in this era, Shaochun has most nightclubs and brothels. The most prosperous neighborhood, which was next to the inner castle, had an intensely fragrant main street aptly named Wine God. Just this street alone contained more than 100 brothels, entertainment halls, and wine shops of all sizes. They were all privately owned, signaling the prosperity of the place. According to Dong Luzi, the majority of the Song courtesans came from vanquished states. Of these, the women from Yu commanded the highest prices. The goods could have been purchased directly from those places that have been exploited by Chu over the long term. They could also have been captive slaves from vanquished states purchased from the government. Merely thinking about these issues, Xiang Xiaolong shook his head and sighed. The Red Embrace Mansion is one of the largest song and dance establishments in Shaochun. The other two are the vegetarian goddess and the fragrant splendor pavilion that Huang Zhan warned Dong Luzi against. The Red Embrace mansion is formed from a cluster of courtyards surrounded by high walls. The area inside is divided into 7 to 8 courtyard houses. The main house was 2 stories high, with windows facing backwards. This provided a view of the nearby Chu Palace with its splendid, densely packed palace halls and rooms, the inner city wall, the moat, and Shaochun's famous scenic spot, the Ying Garden. The Ying Lake, which is on the central axis of the garden, looked like a bright mirror embedded in the dense groves of trees. The scenery was harmonious and pleasing. The Dian King's mansion that Xiang Xiaolong was residing in was located at the eastern end of the Ying Garden. With Dong Luzi's guidance, Xiang Xiaolong ascended to the second story of the main house. 4 beautiful, colorfully attired servant girls knelt respectfully in greeting. They used 2 basins of clear water to wash their hands and faces. Such a show of ostentation is unmatched in the 3 Jin states and the strong Qin. The manager is a big fatty called Chu Qi. This person was a top-notch bootlicker and he rarely had such a perfect occasion. Even Xiang Xiaolong felt compelled to give him a reward to ease his own conscience. Li Yuan was drinking wine in a side room in the direction of the Ying Garden. Accompanying him were the 2 men who were once defeated by Teng Yi, Lu Wuxin, and Yan Fu. Upon seeing Xiang Xiaolong, he invited him to join the party, and asked with a serious expression, "Did the Empress Dowager find out that you were sitting behind the screen?" Xiang Xiaolong was electrified, knowing that he now had to choose between buying the favor of Li Yuan and that of Li Yanyan. He heaved a sigh and said, "Empress Dowager did give me strict orders not to reveal anything, but I, Wan Ruguang, am not afraid of death. Not to mention that imperial uncle has gone all-out effort for the Zhuang family. Yes, I do not know how, but Empress Dowager knew that I was hiding behind the screen." He had decided to buy Li Yuan's favor, though his reason was quite laughable. It was simply because Li Yanyan was a kind-hearted person. Even if he offended her, he would still have room for maneuver. Li Yuan on the other hand was an all-out villain. If he found out that he himself was lying, things would invariably sour. Li Yuan was pleased and said, "Brother Wan really thinks highly of me. I, Li Yuan, will naturally spare no effort to defend Brother Wan. Brother Wan can be at ease." "Hey! Can you guess how she knew you were hiding behind the screen?" "I too could only figure out after it had happened." Xiang Xiaolong could not figure out and shaking his head, replied, "Imperial uncle, please explain." Li Yuan said, "There are 2 factors. First, she had already found out from the sentry that Brother Wan and I were drinking wine and having a chat. Next is the footprint on the ground. When Empress Dowager wanted me to leave, I looked back and saw a footprint leading to the screen, immediately knowing that we had been exposed." Xiang Xiaolong secretly thought, what a close shave. If he had lied and said that the Empress Dowager had just sat in a daze for a while and then left, he would have been caught lying on the spot. Li Yuan laughed and said, "Brother Wan. Li Yuan toasts you a cup." Lu Wuxin, Yan Fu, and Dong Luzi all raised their cups. After the wine had made 3 rounds, Xiang Xiaolong committed himself and said, "Empress Dowager seemed to have a faint suspicion that Imperial Uncle had indeed deliberately raised the matter concerning my country to cause me to confirm the true opponents of my Zhuang family's restoration. She even reprimanded me severely for a while." Li Yuan said nonchalantly, "Could Brother Wan please relate the whole conversation with Empress Dowager word by word? This is vital. You must not miss or hide anything." Xiang Xiaolong immediately offered half the story, providing a description filled with half-truths. Of course he had to leave out the most critical parts like how she had seen through Li Yuan's ploy to get Xiang Xiaolong to assassinate Lord Chun Shen. Li Yuan frowned in contemplation for a while, then continued probing for details, compelling him to reveal even the account of how he pulled out his sword to commit suicide. With a queer expression, he said, "I understand my younger sister the Empress Dowager's temperament the best. She rarely has this many words to say to people. The most peculiar is that she did not punish Brother Wan in any way. Turning to the rest, he said, "What do you guys think?" Lu Wuxin and the rest all had queer expressions on their faces, but they all did not dare to reveal their thoughts. Li Yuan became angry and said, "If I ask you guys to say it, then say it. Don't you think I do not know myself? I just wanted to verify with you guys." Lu Wuxin lowered his head deferentially and said, "In the end, Empress Dowager is a woman, maybe. Hey! Master should understand my meaning." Li Yuan flashed Xiang Xiaolong a glance and laughed aloud, saying, "Look at these big men being so hesitant when talking about women, isn't it ridiculous? Now it is Xiang Xiaolong to feel strange. If Li Yuan and this beautiful younger sister have an unnatural relationship, he would have been at least a little jealous when she falls for another man. But looking at how happy he is right now, the reality and this theory don't match." Li Yuan raised his cup for a toast and said, "Let us drink another cup." While still confused, Xiang Xiaolong raised his cup and answered everyone's toast. As Li Yuan put down his cup, his eyes were shining with an intimidating gleam. With a voice brimming with hope, he said, "In the end, the Empress Dowager, my younger sister, was not able to endure loneliness and was moved by Brother Wan. Such developments between men and women are the hardest to understand. If only this were the case, Brother Wan has hoped to reclaim his country." Xiang Xiaolong secretly scolded him in his heart, "First he wants me to be an assassin, now he wants me to be a male gigolo." Shaking his head, he said, "Imperial uncle has misunderstood. Empress Dowager is only concerned about my Zhuang family's matter, that is why she had a long conversation with me and also spared me. There shouldn't be any male-female relationship." Li Yuan excitedly said, "Of course we could be celebrating over nothing. But I will probe her with words. I know her too well. She can hide matters from anybody, but she cannot hide them from me." Xiang Xiaolong righteously said, "If Imperial uncle asks me to raise my sword to kill the enemy, I will not crease even half an eyebrow." But Li Yuan interrupted him and said, "Good. Indeed worthy of being called a man. However, has Brother Wan ever considered that people who wish to accomplish great things not only mustn't be a stickler for small matters, but must also be completely unscrupulous? If not, Brother Wan should not have come to Shaochun. He should instead have slashed his way to Dian and tried to use the sword in his hands to kill the clique of traitors." IMHO, this is Li Yuan's most eloquent speech yet. The logic is irrefutable. Is honor in the end hypocritical? Xiang Xiaolong was stumped, and at the same time became curious about one fact. He asked, "There is one thing I do not understand. In the end, Li Ling is Imperial Uncle's clansman, why is Lord Chun Shen protecting him while Imperial Uncle is against him?" Li Yuan sighed and signaled to Yan Fu, saying, "Yan Fu, why don't you explain?" Yan Fu respectfully said, "There are a few things that General Wan does not know. Even in the Li clan, there are different factions. The most powerful is of course our masters. The other faction is led by Master's uncle, the great Prayer Li Chuan, who controls all offerings and sacrifices in the country. He has recently been colluding with Minister Lord Chun Shen. Li Ling and Li Chuangwen belong to that faction and are naturally against Master. As we will see later, the great XXXX are a set of official positions in the Chu court. Only now does Xiang Xiaolong understand. On the surface, Lord Chun Shen and Li Yuan are on good terms, but underneath they are secretly engaging in a violent struggle. Lord Chun Shen is making use of the powers within the Li clan who were hostile to Li Yuan to set him back. It was precisely because of this that Lord Chun Shen changed his position from supporting the Zhuang family's restoration to opposing and sabotaging them. In the end, none of them are good guys. Under these circumstances, Li Yunyan naturally became the pivotal person. Whoever is able to gain her support will emerge victorious. The most powerful players in the Chu court are the right minister Lord Chun Shen and the left minister Li Yuan, followed by the great prayer, the great ancestor, the great justice and the great historian. Of the latter four, the great prayer, who is in charge of laws and decrees, is the most powerful. With the right minister and the great prayer acting together, it is no wonder that Li Yuan is at a disadvantage. Looking from this angle, perhaps Li Yuan is not totally against the restoration of the Zhuang family. This is because once the Zhuang family is restored, they will become Li Yuan's trusted agents and a source of power, and could even help him to stabilize the other vassal states. This would cause his power to increase tremendously, giving him enough power to overwhelm his opponents. Li Yuan said, the Empress Dowager's invitation to the Dian Princess and Crown Prince, of Dian, was Li Quan's idea. While the idea sounds noble, it is actually to prevent you from contacting the other vassal states and forming secret agreements to the detriment of Li Ling. Does Brother Wan understand now? Xiang Xiaolong pretended to be moved to tears and said, many thanks to Imperial Uncle's pointers. Li Yuan then muttered irresolutely for a while, then continued, in this matter, let me stall the Empress Dowager. Let us temporarily put aside the matter of Lord Chun Shen. The most important thing in front of us is to verify if the Empress Dowager has really taken an interest to Brother Wan. Only then can we decide what to do next. He stretched himself and rose, saying, I'll head back to the palace first. Let these other three accompany you to drink and make merry. The ladies here are outstandingly good-looking. Brother Wan is guaranteed to be satisfied. How could Xiang Xiaolong be in the mood for prostitutes? He stood up, saluted and said, I appreciate Imperial Uncle's kindness. This stateless official does not have the appetite for enjoyment and merriment. Li Yuan saw that apart from his family's restoration, he did not have a hint of interest in anything else. He happily said, in that case, let me send Brother Wan part of the way. They then left together.